Can't quite remember what happened last year on AMC's The Walking Dead? No problem, because we have the story so far. Needless to say, spoiler alert. When the show got started, it was bad news, good news, more bad news for Deputy Rick Grimes. First he got shot and fell into a coma, but luckily he woke up from that. Still, it kinda sucked that now the world was overrun with zombies, and his wife and son were missing. After a bit of a rocky start,
Daddy!
Rick meets Morgan, a cool dude who, along with his son, has avoided becoming zombie chow. Although, the same can't be said for Morgan's wife, which really blows for Morgan. He loved the shit out of her. Soon, Rick leaves to go look for his family in Atlanta, promising to send word to Morgan if he finds a safer place for them. But things don't go so great there. Though, that's where Rick meets Glenn, a super resourceful ex-pizza delivery boy who promptly saves Rick's ass in 30 minutes or less. Still, some of Glenn's companions aren't the greatest. That includes worst person ever, Merle Dixon. He's a racist, homophobic, coke fiend redneck who for some reason was given a gun.
You ought to be more polite to a man with a gun.
So Rick leaves him handcuffed when the zombies are this close. Turns out Glenn's gang is part of a bigger group camping outside the city. Rick's wife Lori and son Carl are there, as is Rick's old partner Shane. But Shane's been pulling the ultimate dick move and getting with Lori. What the hell, Lori? Okay, to be fair, she does think Rick is dead, but still, close up shop, lady.
Don't draw attention.
After implementing a rather inventive escape plan that includes gross dead people parts, Rick is reunited with his family at the base camp. So now it's good news for the deputy, but bad news for Shane, since apparently he was the one who told Lori Rick was dead. Lori is not too happy about that.
From now on, my family is off limits to you.
Lots of other characters round out the group. There's Daryl, Merle's much cooler but still trashy crossbow-wielding brother, the kind and wise RV owner Dale, tough gal Andrea and her younger sister Amy, the no-nonsense Jackie, and Jim, the gloomy taciturn guy with the beard. Oh, and don't forget T-Dog, mainly because his name is T-Dog.
T-Dog, repeat that last. Repeat.
There's also some jackass who beats his scrawny wife Carol, which Shane doesn't like at all. We barely ever bother learning the names of the other survivors in the camp because either we don't care about them or we know they're only here as zombie food. Hey, walkers need to eat too. Soon, Rick heads back to the city with Glenn and Daryl. And T-Dog, don't forget T-Dog. They're looking for Merle, Rick's bags of guns, and a radio that Rick can talk to Morgan with, but mostly the guns. They find some, if not all, of Merle. But we're pretty sure that, like a one-handed racist Terminator, Merle will be back next season. While in the city, the guys also get into a skirmish with some Latino thugs who take Glenn hostage. But it turns out that really, they're just soft and gushy inside and protecting a bunch of old folks. Aw shucks, Apocalypse. Right before Rick and the others get back, zombos attack the camp and there is much carnageosity and dismemberfication. Amy dies, and then dies again the next morning. Some other folks get eaten and everyone is completely bummed out. And Shane considers shooting Rick. Is that worse than sleeping with his wife? We're still not sure.
Jesus.
So the gang decides it's not safe at the camp anymore. No doy. So they head for greener, less zombie-ridden pastures. Jim the taciturn guy gets a lonely taciturn death next to a taciturn tree. Oh, and some of those background survivors split off from the group. But we totally still don't care about them. In the season finale, a flashback reveals why Shane lied about Rick dying. Really, he just left him for dead in the hospital back when Rick was in a coma. Or he figured he was better off dead. Back in the here and now, Rick and the gang find their way to a CDC safe house where a scientist named Jenner is working on a cure for the zombie plague. He also has hot showers and booze, which is pretty much exactly what Rick's team needs to get drunk and clean. It's also what Shane needs to come this close to sexually assaulting Lori. As it turns out, Jenner's research was ruined by an accident. Oh, and his lab's about to run out of power. Cue auto-destruct mode. But not before Jenner has a dirty little secret to tell Rick. Exactly what he had to say, we'll have to wait for next season, as Rick and company were a little busy outrunning a fireball of destruction. Well, everyone except for Jackie, who stays to explode with Jenner. But we totally didn't care about those guys either. Meanwhile, the non-disintegrated members of Team Grimes drive off into the sun, and smack dab into Walking Dead Season 2.